Hey Weintek warriors, today we're going to explore the fascinating world of SQL and how to configure MySQL Server and Workbench so it's compatible with Weintek HMIs. SQL, or Structured Query Language, is a programming language designed for managing and manipulating data within relational databases. Originating in the 1970s, SQL was standardized by the American National Standards Institute in 1986. Since its inception, SQL has become the predominant language for relational database management and has been updated multiple times to meet the changing demands of the database industry. Here's a quick rundown of some SQL database concepts. Databases are organized collections of data that allow for easy access, management, and updating. Think of a database as a digital filing cabinet where all your data is stored. Tables are the fundamental building blocks of a database. Each table is like a spreadsheet, consisting of rows and columns. Tables store data in a structured format. Rows, also known as records, represent individual entries in a table. Each row contains data related to a specific item or entity. For example, in a table of employees, each row might represent a different employee. Columns define the attributes or properties of the data stored in the table. Each column has a specific data type and represents a particular aspect of the data. For example, in the employee table, columns might include name, position, and hire date. Primary keys are unique identifiers for each record in a table. They ensure that each row can be uniquely identified. For example, in an employee table, the employee ID could be a primary key, as it uniquely identifies each employee. Foreign keys are columns that create a link between two tables. A foreign key in one table points to a primary key in another table, establishing a relationship between the two tables. For instance, if you have an orders table and a customers table, the customer ID in the orders table could be a foreign key that links to the customer ID primary key in the customer's table. Here are some basic commands you will see when working with SQL. Let's take a quick look at the SQL statements required to create a table. This example is taken from the Sequila sample database, which can be found on the MySQL website. In this example, we're creating a table called actor with the create table command. Below, we will add columns to the table. The column names are followed by column attributes, such as record data type, whether the record can be null, and the auto-incrementing of record number. Below the column names, we designate the table's primary key, the actor ID column in this case. Now, let's take a quick look at the statements required to add data to the actor table we just created. Each one of these records contains information pertaining to the columns previously created. From left to right, we have the table's primary key, the actor ID, followed by the actor's first name, last name, and a timestamp. When both of these scripts are executed, the actor table will be created and it will be filled with plenty of data. Finally, let's run a couple of SQL queries to get a better look at the data within our actor table. Let's find out which actors have the first name of Matthew. To do this, we have to write a query to find this information. It could look something like this. We will start with the select statement, followed by an asterisk. The asterisk represents all columns in the table. We will follow that up with the from command, which specifies which table we will be searching in this case, actor. This will be followed by the where command, which specifies which column we will be searching in this case, the first name column. Finally, we'll add an equal sign, and the data we want to search for within the table, which is Matthew. We'll then end this query with a semicolon. When the query is executed, we receive 3 results. Let's try this once more, but change the column name to last name, and search for actors with the last name of Barry. We execute the query and are again met with 3 results. SQL is essential for querying, updating, and managing data in relational databases across various industries, such as industrial automation, e-commerce, banking, education, and healthcare. Let's run one last query, which may look similar to one used in an industrial automation or manufacturing-related database. I've created a simple schema and table containing the columns part ID, part name, and quantity. I'll write a query that searches for a specific part name. And there you have it, folks. We have all the information we need on Widget A. Follow along as I guide you through the steps of installing and configuring MySQL Server and Workbench on a local PC and establishing a database server connection with a Weintek HMI. First, download the MySQL installer at dev.mysql.com/downloads/installer. Navigate to the downloaded file and start the installation. Choose the Custom Setup type in the MySQL installer and click Next. On the following window, select the latest versions of MySQL Server and MySQL Workbench and add them to the Products to be Installed list. Select Next when finished. Select Execute to download MySQL Server and MySQL Workbench. Select Next when the download is complete. Select Next to begin MySQL Server configuration. Ensure that TCP/IP is selected and the port number is 3306. Click Next when finished. Choose the Use Legacy Authentication Method, Retain MySQL 5.x Compatibility option, and click Next. Enter a password for the MySQL Server root account, and click Next. The settings in the following sections can remain default. Select Execute on the final page. Select Finish when MySQL Server configuration is complete. Select Next and Finish on the following windows. After installing MySQL Server and Workbench, a schema must be created for synchronizing HMI historical data. Launch MySQL Workbench and click the plus icon to build a connection with a database server. On the following window, enter a connection name, host name, port number 3306, and username. Click OK when finished. For the host name, I'm using the loopback address of my PC, as this database server will be hosted locally. A loopback address will allow a device to send and receive its own data packets. When finished, the new server can be found within your MySQL connections. Click the new server and enter your password. Select the Create a New Schema icon and enter a name for the schema. Click Apply when finished. Click Apply and Finish on the following windows. In the Administration tab of the Navigator, select Users and Privileges. Select Add Account and enter user credentials in the Login tab. Click Apply when finished. Select all of the roles and global privileges within the Administrative Roles tab, and select Apply when finished. In the Account Limits section, you may also configure maximum queries, updates, connections, and concurrent connections per user. Select Apply when finished. Let's configure the database server within EasyBuilder Pro. In the Data/History tab, select Database Server. Select New to configure a new database server. In the General tab, enter the database server parameters configured earlier when we set up MySQL Server. Text entered in the comment field will essentially name the server within your EasyBuilder Pro project, and can make it easier to choose the server from a list within other objects that sync, such as the data sampling or event alarm log objects. The PC's loopback address, 127.0.0.1, may be used in the database server section of the project during simulation, while the PC's IP address must be specified before project download. In the Status/Control tab, choose an address for the status register and enable the control address. The status addresses display the connection status with the SQL Server on the HMI, and the control addresses can change connection parameters dynamically on the HMI. Select OK when finished. To sync sample data within your project to your MySQL Server, within your data sampling object, enable the history file and sync to database options. Choose your MySQL Server's IP address from the database drop-down list and click OK when finished. To sync event log data within your project to your MySQL Server, within the History/Control tab of the event alarm log, enable the history and sync to database options. Choose your MySQL Server's IP address from the database drop-down list. Please note that data will be synchronized to the MySQL Server only when the number of data sampling or event alarm log records reach 10,000. To start synchronization manually, please select the Enable checkbox in the Control section in the settings of the data sampling or event alarm log object. Then give a command by entering the corresponding value in the designated address. Also, the HMI will build and update a table automatically when used within a data sampling or event alarm object. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, head on over to our channel for more great technical tutorials. And come on down to our forum. It's a great resource for everything Weintek.